Hello and welcome to In the Medium. My name is Connor Lydon, and I think my favorite medium to interact with is probably, I'd have to say movies. One of my all-time favorites is Baby Driver, and another movie I just saw was the Demon Slayer movie, Infinity Castle. Really excited about that. And this is...
Hi, I'm Holobovich. One of my favorite things, I'm a big TV guy. I've gotten into games more recently. My favorite shows are probably going to be Gravity Falls, Scavenger's Reign, and I love Community and Arrested Development. Two really good sitcoms.
Hi, I'm Caleb Pusey, and I personally like watching TV shows, playing video games, watching movies. Specific video games I'm playing right now are Monster Hunter. I like watching, currently rewatching Arcane. I'm currently watching One Piece right now. And for movies, right now I'm rewatching the Michael Keaton Batman movies.
My name's Carson. Couple of my favorite things are I like TV, I like movies. I'm a big sports guy. I've been getting into that. I really want to go into sports videography and movie directing. Some of my favorite TV shows are Peaky Blinders, The Office, and then some of my favorite movies are The Truman Show and American Psycho.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I interact with books mostly, big fan of book talk, and I also watch a lot of YouTube, TV, movies. Some of my favorite TV shows are New Girl, The Office, as well as Once Upon a Time. A couple of my favorite movies are Ocean's 11 as well as Ocean's 8.
And today we're going to be talking about visual literacy, and kind of just to give you a basis of what that looks like.
So most of what we're going to be talking about is with visual storytelling and everything like that. And my personal, not favorite, but one of my favorite examples of this especially, with color grading, it is so important for movies and TV because it changes, one, just the tone, but also how different the whatever it is received. With Breaking Bad is a wonderful show. Genuinely, it's so good. Have you watched?
I have heard of Breaking Bad for so long, and I feel like it's one of those ones I should watch for like just cultural context, and it's just I haven't quite gotten around to it. Although I do know what I think you're going to be talking about is this, like, it sort of pioneered the like Mexican filter, which is like all kinds of what the hell is that and why? Because really quickly, another like when I was looking through our notes and stuff like that about this like Mexican filter thing, one of the first examples that popped into my head was, are you familiar at all with a show called Outer Banks that was on Netflix?
Yeah.
So it's infamous for like being color graded to hell. It just it is always either orange or blue, and
that's funny.
It's interesting because I think with something like that you can see how that isn't really doing anything for the visual storytelling. That is just bad color grading, honestly.
It's trying to be aesthetic and it's not.
Right, versus something like Breaking Bad,
where it's very important. With the Mexican filter, it wasn't the first, but it's, I want to say, probably the biggest example of it, or at least the most prominent. I forget the exact first film to do it. I know it was put out in 2000, but with Breaking Bad, it was the first that I can think of where it's like, it's the stereotype. It's the main example. And with that, like, it's supposed to be like, oh, we're in the desert, but also that's heavy stereotypes, we all know. But with Breaking Bad, they do have really good color theory within the show of like, showing different colors associated with different people, for the purpose of explaining part of the story.
Sure.
Like one of them is with yellow itself. Yellow has the main point of yellow is the drug industry. It's the thing behind it all. Because it takes place in New Mexico, so it is like a deserty area and stuff. But it's still a thing of yellow has that connection to the drug industry, but it also has connotations of pleasure, but also caution with that because of how slippery of a slope it is.
Is there any correlation? Like, is it mainly with like with Walter White and Jesse, or does it apply to other like groups? Like I'm not sure because I don't know the narrative, but
No,
like
yeah.
would it also apply to again either like meth groups or do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
A big one specifically with Yellow. A big one is Gus. And sorry for the spoilers, but also it's been how many years at this point?
Like decades.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But Gus is the guy who runs the drug industry in New Mexico. It's the Los Pollos Hermanos. Is the drug front that he runs. And he hires Walt, but also it is a thing of Gus's iconic look, like the one that you think of, the one that's most prominent. He's wearing this yellow button up. Los Pollos Hermanos also has, like, it's yellow and red in the logo and everything, which has other ties to, like, the food industry in general. Like, red and yellow makes you hungrier, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I think that is true.
That's why a lot of places have yellow in them.
But I didn't even realize, like, because I've seen definitely the pictures, and I know what you're talking about when you say, like, Walter's, like the yellow button-down
Gus.
shirt. Oh, Gus.
Yeah.
Sorry. And, like, I know what you're talking about just from, like, seeing it online, and I didn't realize that it, like, went that deep. And I think that's really interesting, because that is one of those examples where if it's that ubiquitous and it's that purposeful, like, that starts to create a really strong internal theme, and that's great.
It is. It really is. And, like, Jesse also falls into this because, not that he's seen wearing yellow a lot, but also it's still prevalent enough where his side of the yellow is, like, he's caught in the crossfire. He's caught down the slippery slope. The caution is his purpose of the yellow. Where another part that his last name is Pinkman. Pinkman is for, like, innocence, naivety, because he is young. He is one of Walt's prior high school students. Like, he's young. He doesn't know what he's getting into. He's just a drug dealer in the town, but then, like, gets into it more and falls down this slope.
Wow, so it's really like an intentional.
It's very intentional, yeah.
Really deep, because I obviously only had that kind of one connection or like frame of reference to it, but also you said there are other examples like of this, like you highlight blue like in our notes and one of the notes you have I'm just interested in is that you connect the blue and that being like a thing of loyalty to even like Skylar's name.
Yes.
And like without knowing the narrative, like is her character arc also tied to like that sort of theme?
Yeah, so like with Skylar, most of her, like in the beginning, she is left in the dark with Walt, still like loyal to her husband in that sense, but she doesn't know what's going on. Then whenever she does find out, she is opposed at first, but eventually, like throughout the series, the main part that I'm thinking of is like once they get to the car wash, they buy a car wash as a like front, like then she becomes really loyal and or like she's loyal to her husband in that way, but also she is trying to do this for her family. She's loyal to her family. And I think we'll go into this soon. But also that ties into Ozark as well with the loyalty and the blue and everything.
Yeah, does that appear like any, like obviously it appears differently and they tell different stories,
yes,
but like,
yes.
how do you think it like functions differently and like do they draw different connections?
Yeah, yes, they do. Like with Ozark and the blue, like in Breaking Bad, it has that loyalty connection, but also if you look up Ozark Blue, I can guarantee at least the first 6 results are going to be, why is Ozark so blue? Because it has very heavy color grading on it. Like,
and you said also that like they don't really use the Mexico filter, but you just say that they do use a lot of heavy color grading.
yes.
do you think, like, do you have any idea of, like, what you think their goal was with that, if they are so heavy and intentional about the color grading?
I think with the color grading, in Ozark specifically, like, I watched it not this summer, but those last summer. I watched it for the first time with a couple friends, and such a good show, highly recommend it. But also, the first thing that you see is, oh, it's blue, what's going on here? But it's this looming threat, it's this always present in the Ozarks, which was where it takes place. It's like this ever looming threat of there's always something around the corner. There's always something that is going to catch up.
Got it. Yeah.
And when I was watching it for the first time, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers because I do highly recommend this show, as best as I can at least. But when I was watching the show, there's when Marty Bird, he's the main character, played by Jason Bateman, love him. When he goes to Mexico for the first time, it is so jarring to see the difference because you're expecting this heavy Mexican filter because of how blue the show is. You're expecting like this heavy something. But when you get to Mexico, it's pretty normal.
Oh, like, that's so interesting. They basically like take the threat out of it as long as they're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. And especially because like at a certain point the Mexico filter becomes a trope or a cliche of like you're expecting this. I don't know when Ozarks was coming out, but I can imagine that they were like, I wonder if in their production team at all if they said deliberately, let's not have this be there because it's like you just think it's gonna be there. You just expect it.
I honestly think that is what happens because Ben Kutchins, he's the cinematographer for the show. I definitely think he had in mind at least of what it was going to look like when they got to Mexico. And I think it was coming out in like 2018, somewhere around there.
Is this about the Ozarks?
Yes.
It came out July 21st, 2017.
Okay.
And the second season was 2018, and then the last season was released on 2020.
Thank you. But with Ben Kutchins, I definitely think it was very intentional for what he was trying to do. Like, I think it's subverting the trope in that sense. I also think, like, again, trying to avoid spoilers, but with this ever-looming threat in the Ozarks with this very heavy blue, when you get to Mexico, it's like a relief, kind of. But also, why they're in Mexico is still very important. Like, it still has the weight of what's going on.
Sure.
But it's disguised. I think that's what it is.
That's so interesting, because then I feel like that's also sort of like disarming the audience a little bit of like, it seems safe. You're not really, but it's not like the thing that was over here. It's just a different thing. Again, I'm not that familiar with Ozarks, but that's hearing about that is the kind of thing that is so interesting to dig in on. And if you're cool to move to the next example, another great example and one that like is another example of a show that you should 100% watch. Is Severance, where I was gonna bring it up in the way of Severance, specifically the episode that we're calling out here, kind of defies its own
genre.
Its own genre, but also the cinematography and the color grading and everything like that it sets up. It knocks it down in this episode. I believe it's season 2, episode 7.
Yes, Chikai Bardo.
Was directed by Jessica Lee Gunning.
I think something like that.
In any case, a fantastic cinematographer who.
And this is her first time directing.
That's incredible.
Yes, like it's her first time directing, and it was such a good episode.
Because for those who are unfamiliar, Severance is 2 seasons long, directed, I think, or produced in part by Ben Stiller.
Directed and produced by Ben Stiller, I believe.
And just the whole show, more or less, is filled with just this heavy emphasis on very like desaturated, white, gray, dark blue.
Green, I know, is a big one.
There's some green
White,
as like a
because of the hallways and everything.
right. Occasionally, I believe
You get occasionally yellow. Very occasionally.
very occasionally, red is a big deal as well.
Yes.
But
yes.
specifically for this episode, this Chakai Bardo episode, it is I believe the entire episode is a series of flashbacks, if I'm not mistaken.
Not necessarily. Again, we're going to try and avoid spoilers with this one because this is a very important episode, but also it's so good and we have to talk about it. It's not all flashbacks. It goes from present to past with a specific character, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could say the main character, Mark. That's not like...
Mark specifically.
You know, that's not...
I'm saying the other one. But also, with this episode, it's so well done because this entire series, you get that desaturated. You get the same color palette essentially the entire time. And then you have this episode that's so different. It's so different.
It's radically different.
Radically different.
And it's like... It's jarring, honestly, to watch for a show that is that does feel so intimidating and dark, and is very like disorienting. Even I would say.
I'm pretty sure it's a psychological thriller.
Right.
Like it's very in its genre.
To then have this episode that it's lit very warmly, or at least it starts off being lit very warmly, and then slowly the light is pulled out of the episode as you go along, and you really just get to see this descent for this character in this timeline that they're showing you. And they even include some like vintage like grain filters and stuff like that to give it this feeling of that you're in a totally different time and place. Well, I should say not time and place in the literal sense, but in sort of a kind of emotional sense for this main character for Mark.
But also with that, you mentioned the grain. Because of this episode, and if you've seen the series, you'll know what I'm talking about. But with this episode, it has that very grainy, very pastel, very like nostalgic feel of it. And the series, as far as I'm pretty sure it's gotten picked up for season 3, but season 2 ends with it's a photograph of the last shot, and it zooms out, and it has that grain to it. It's tying in that its own nostalgia with something completely different.
Well, yeah, and it's very interesting that this is another aspect of visual storytelling, but that the show, even though I believe is relatively set in modern day, I think someone has a smartphone in it. I think like right in the beginning of the show, even you see Mark has a smartphone, but everything feels very 70s.
Yes,
it feels very intense. And after that first initial showing of the fact that Mark has a smartphone, it isn't really seen again. It's
really hard to tell when it takes place.
Right, it's very hard to tell because it doesn't give you a lot of clues. It's very like all of the.
It's contained.
Yes, it's very insular. Also. So playing with that film grain and playing with that you don't really know if this is like if it's a vintage thing or if it's a now thing, and it's very difficult because, again, for not really knowing exactly when this is taking place or what the conditions are of the kind of greater world that they're in, it's you could easily be
completely
using that film grain as in context modern technology. I also want to throw in too, I mentioned earlier with the significance of red. Quickly, because I don't have the everything kind of like locked and loaded, but whenever they show red in this show, it is so important. Usually it's in the form of blood, and it only shows up a couple of times when something like really significant in the story happens. And like the finale of...
finale has a lot...
The finale of season 2, I should say, has a lot of red lighting, and you can go figure out why if you watch it. But there's also other instances where someone gets hurt, and it tends to be signaling this transformative thing. Like almost every single time, I believe, that they show red or someone bleeds or whatever, it is signaling this like paradigm shift within the show.
Two examples that I don't think are spoiling because I'm just gonna say
Mm-hmm.
generally. But with the melon party,
Mm-hmm.
when they're dancing, like that's a big one, and that's in season 1. But like that in itself is like defining for a couple characters because it's like getting used to the environment but also getting sick of the environment. You know what I mean?
And it's interesting that they do that because you said of like getting sick with the environment, but the colors and the atmosphere that they create is this. It's a dance party. That's what it is, and you've probably seen it in memes and stuff like that where people put their own song over it. But at the core of that scene is this very uneasy thing of they're in a party, but like
there's 5 of them.
it feels
There's only 5 of them.
It
Like-
feels really, really weird. And obviously that doesn't have like a strict theme because there's not really any other instance that has a ton of colors like that. Besides, obviously,
the ending, but also the only other time that I can think of is in the Ortbo. I know that sounds insane. Weekend trip. It's a weekend trip. Like with, how do I say this? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I would just say that you're not
It's
in.
very important when there's colors. Like
It's
that.
very important, but there's also they're not in the usual setting. So it's very much a distinction between like attitudes, but also place.
Yes.
And obviously that's used in different contexts where you're not in the same setting, but also the one with the dance party, the melon party, and the like rainbow flashing colors and stuff like that is more of it's kind of handled differently and it means something different, but they're both to kind of signal this like something is very different here. There's something that's not really afoot. And then you have a couple other notes of other examples of things that happen in Severance. I don't know if you want to touch on those. But genuinely, this show is one of those things where it's like you could teach a collegiate level class on just the
Just the
cinematography.
show.
We could do this the whole semester.
We're not going to, but
We definitely could.
We could.
We definitely could.
But like with Severance still, in Chikai Bardo, the transitions in the scenes are also really good. I want to say part of them, I don't want to say TikTok transitions because that's demeaning to the show, but like having that like switch with movement kind of thing, really cool. It's done really well, and like the passing shots where you change scenes and stuff like that. But also the best transition in this show, in my opinion, is going from the office to this separate room, and Jessica was saying in an interview that there was no CGI in this shot, and they pulled a camera through a wire.
I cannot believe that. Genuinely.
Like, insane. And I don't know how big this wire was, or obviously how big this camera was, but it's still a point of, it is very labor intensive. I think in that same interview, she said it was like the biggest side project of the show that they were doing. Like
I'm
it
sure.
took forever probably for something like that. But it is such a good shot. It's such a good shot. It's such a good transition because it goes into this room that we have no idea about. I still don't know about it. Like,
it's one of those shows where you're given so many like crumbs, and you can put them together if you know the end point. But if you don't, and even then, some stuff is like,
yeah.
Who knows?
But even then, it's still this is a show that you can't be on your phone for. It's a show that you watch.
You gotta
kind of
lock
thing.
in
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think that brings us to our next show, at least.
Firstly,
Yeah.
A few things about Severance.
Yes.
Just while you were talking, I did some research about Severance while you guys were talking, and I just wanted to interject before you move into the next show. Firstly, it has been renewed for season 3. However, it is unclear whether they are in production or not, or if they're still in pre-production.
That's
writing.
fair, yeah.
Honestly, the last one took like 2 years or 3 years. So
It was like 4.
was it really?
Mm-hmm. Us
I'll wait.
season 1 Severance fans were suffering.
I'll wait. To be perfectly fair,
Also,
take all the time you need, Ben Stiller.
Also, it was actually not created by Ben Stiller. It was created by Dan Erickson. However,
I think Ben Stiller was the producer. then.
Ben Stiller is a executive producer and a major force when creating the show because it is created through his production company, Red Hour Productions.
Mm-hmm.
That is why, like, I'm pretty sure in every episode it says like a Ben Stiller production
Yeah.
because it's his production company.
Okay.
And he was a main driving force of getting the show off the ground. But no, it was originally created by Dan Erickson, who created the show while he was working a corporate job.
Oh,
He
wow.
imagined a procedure of separating his work life and his
Hating your job so much.
real life. And obviously that has now led to the amazing show that is Severance.
Mhm.
But to get off Severance a little bit, we can talk about Andor for
One
a second.
of the best shows.
Another
This-
show that me and Bo
yes.
are fanatics for. We have watched the entirety of it together.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of those shows that is just so clever and so perfect.
You don't even need it's a Star Wars show, but you do not need to watch Star Wars to like this show.
No.
Like
This-
it has the Star Wars elements to it, but there's not a single lightsaber the entire time. I think there's one Force user. And even then, it doesn't really like count. Like
Even then, it was more like a. Even then, it was more like a. I think like someone who just believes in the Force rather than someone who actually had it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there are theories,
Exactly. Like she
too.
was Force sensitive.
Force sensitive, I think that's what they say.
And that was like it.
But the one of the main examples we have kind of in our notes and that I'll put on screen as well is it's Cassian Andor for those uneducated of you, standing in a door frame. But what's really interesting is, like, I don't know if you noticed this and put that, and that's why you put it on there. But it dawned on me earlier that he's basically making the formation of his symbol that's like in the intro and on like the promotional material.
Well, also it's the symbol of the rebellion itself too.
Well, not. Oh yeah, it is actually a little bit. It's like they're very similar.
Very similar, at least.
But just that sort of like crescent with like one sort of central
Central point.
central point.
But like I think Andor is such a good example of how to make shows correctly. Tony Gilroy did an amazing job with this
And
show.
again, if you're thinking about watching it,
Do it.
I think Tony Gilroy has said too, it's like the type of thing that takes place in the Star Wars universe, but could be completely removed from, and it would still make 100% sense. It is very strongly written,
Yes.
and obviously the visual storytelling goes for that as well. But
I think with Andor and everything, besides this shot in general, but also it is visually gorgeous. The setting that takes place, the ships that they're on, I think I won't spoil this because it's very important episode. But with Narkina 5, I believe it's called. But it's so different because in season 1 you get this time on Ferrix. You come back to Ferrix at some point.
which Ferrix is like it's a very blue collar
Yes.
planet, and obviously the city that they're on is
It's a big trading city, I believe.
right, and everybody there is like a laborer or like it's very gritty and it feels very
Yes.
grounded. And then you go to Narkina 5, which is this like
Completely different.
it's a prison planet. They're in this like maximum security prison essentially, and everything is like starkly white. It's like pristinely clean, and it's really weird because that shift like away from that grounded sort of thing that they were giving you in the first couple episodes into this like almost like dentist office type of thing where it's also a labor camp is insane.
Yeah, something else. This was something my friend mentioned about the Empire. It looked like clean, but like disgustingly clean. That's
Yes.
how he described how the aesthetic of the Empire looked, and I have always seen it that way ever since he said that.
No, 100%, and it's indicative of like the Empire doesn't, or in this instance, doesn't like feel the need to like exert a bunch of like force because of this system. And you'll see if you watch the show, they have a system in place to keep people in line, and they do it so much so that even they have the other inmates like check teams of people that they're working with in this labor camp essentially.
I
And
think-
that is like they just feel like they can just they could just step
Hands
back
off.
and they don't have to do anything because the psychological
It's
force of
psychological,
it
yeah.
being trapped in essentially like a dentist's office where if you do if you step out of line, you're cooked.
No,
It
yeah.
is
Yeah.
does all the work for them.
And I think the only other time, from what you said, Caleb, I think the only other time in the series, all of the series in Star Wars, the only time that I can think of at least, where you have this almost disgustingly clean area is in, forgive me that I bring up The Rise of Skywalker, but is in Kylo Ren's own room that is that disgustingly clean.
I didn't even think of connecting that like so genuinely.
I think that's the only time.
Because I mean there's instances like a lot of the stuff from the original trilogy and even like the prequels is very clean or like CGI or whatever, but it doesn't reach this level of like
Pristine.
like it is. Yeah.
In regards to Kylo Ren's room, it's actually also interesting to bring up where it is starkly white, but at least, especially in the last movie, I'm pretty sure is The Rise of Skywalker, he is seen often destroying his own room, and that kind of can represent the conflict that he himself is going through throughout the entire, that whole
his
sequel
whole arc,
trilogy.
yeah.
His whole arc in that show, and then that kind of leads to his character arc in the last movie.
Which honestly speaks to the type of thing like, and it's a little heavy-handed in that instance, but he's like not just like throwing a tantrum essentially, but like destroying the pristine,
The only thing.
the thing that represents the Empire's like sense of like perfection. And anyway, another show that me and Bo are really locked into and fans of is Arcane. Have watched like all of season 1 and season 2.
I've rewatched.
I
so many
really
times.
hope that the studio does another, not like necessarily Arcane, but another show.
Fortiche it's a French animation company or studio, and they are working on a Helen of Troy movie that's
What?
going to come out. I'm pretty sure it's Helen of Troy movie, and it looks so good so far. I've only seen like the posters for it, but Fortiche is a wonderful company or studio. Like genuinely, like one of the best studios that I've seen. And with season 1, both seasons are gorgeous. I think season 2 is, the looks of it are gorgeous. There was disconnect between the plot and season 2, but
Sure.
that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing.
We're talking about the visual literacy. Or we're talking
Yes,
about
exactly. Not the
We're
plot.
here to talk about colors and that
Exactly.
sort of thing. Which I said earlier off camera, but Arcane is very brazen in how it does that. It is very direct. I think the first example I thought of personally was that when the main characters, Vi and Jinx, are kids, they both have blue eyes, question mark?
Yes.
I think they both have blue eyes, and Vi, they have everything. Everyone has a very distinct kind of color palette,
Yes.
and so for those who don't know, Jinx has very bright blue hair, and Vi has very bright like pink or red hair, and at some point, I don't know if I should say how, but essentially, Jinx gets like the color of her eyes switches from blue to essentially like a red or a pink, and it's this whole thing that's this running theme throughout both seasons of just like they will never sort of be able to get rid of each other and their eyes like match the other.
Her eyes, Jinx's eyes turn a very purplish color, but like, because that's the color of the
Shimmer.
But you can also call it a violet color.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the
They match
Vi's name
perfectly.
being short for Violet, and essentially the theme stays the same of they are like inextricably linked and like always are a part of each other, and that's like a whole main theme of the show.
Yeah. And with in season 1, like they have all of these like very distinct colors. I think blue is probably one of the most distinct colors in it. Same thing with purple. I think purple is, and green, because the entire Undercity is just green. To very much separate the Piltover and Zaun of it all, which are the two city names in the show. And it's very interesting to see the visual split between the two of them, because Piltover is the higher part of the city. It's very gold. It has blue accents to it. It's very white and gold though.
Primarily, yeah.
Yeah.
It has that sort of very cleanly. Its design is almost, I want to say, I don't know specifically, but feels very European. It feels very well developed. And then Zaun is like the kind of other side of the tracks sort of idea, where most of the like impoverished like community lives, and all of the color, the kind of color scheme tends to be purple and green, and ironically is also that sort of Echo's whole color palette. Echo is another one of the main characters who has mostly green coloring, but also his hair is white, and I think that's noticeable of like. There's
Bridging the gap kind of thing.
Bridging the gap. He's much more of, I don't know if he's actually a pacifist, but it's kind of like.
Kind of. I think with that, though, since Echo has the white of Piltover, but also especially with his,
Is it a
paint on his
tattoo or
face.
is it paint?
I think it's paint on his face. But with his white hair, he has white paint on his face, but he has that green with the ember lights. Is that what they're called?
Firelights.
Firelights, thank you. Like, he's kind of bridging the gap between the two of them, because he's trying to make change in Zaun. He's trying to be the better community in Zaun, and like trying to be not necessarily Piltover, but better. Like,
well, right,
Piltover.
and I think one of the mainstays of his whole like mission statement is, providing like sort of like a clean environment and things that like the people who live in Zaun are not like really privy to. But I think an interesting element of the visual storytelling here especially is, again, the use of green. And well, its connection to, if you've seen the show or if not, one of his community is sort of built around a tree that's in Zaun, and it serves as kind of the communal area for everybody in that group. But more than just the green connecting to nature, it's also, the way I see it at least, is that the green is like a rejection of the kind of like warring spirits of Vi and Jinx, which cause so much like chaos and turbulence in the show. And he kind of has, and in his character too, to be fair, like has this very much, I'm gonna walk my own way and choose something different, something better. And that serves for most of the decisions that he makes is informed by like not falling into the kind of the traps that everybody else does, and he chooses things for himself.
Also with that with the green specifically, that reminds me of one of, I forget which episode it is, but in season 2, one of the intros where with the smog going through the undercity and stuff like that, like trying to gas out people, like that is a big one in that season, or in that episode at least, because Vi and Jinx get into this fight within this heavy green smog. Like that is a very big thing with their own relationship like that, you know? And even with Jinx and Echo, it's something that like keeps coming back in my head. I believe I won't get into it a ton because very big spoilers, but is season 2 episode 7, I believe. Season 2 episode 7, always the best one, I guess.
Genuinely, I think they're just going for the throat every single time.
Yeah.
It was the 7th episode of the 2nd season.
Honestly, I think that might be not what he seems from Gravity Falls. I think that's
Is it
right.
really?
I think it's right around that point at
Man.
least. Besides the point. But with season 2 in that episode, like it's, how do I phrase this? It's just bringing back in my head of like what the coloring is in that episode, especially when Jinx and Echo are dancing. Like it's very purple, but this purple has a completely different connotation because it's like, but it's bisexual lighting essentially, and I'm not kidding. It's like the blue, the purple, the pink.
I never caught on to that.
Well, like it's this bisexual lighting, and it's very heavy on the purple. But like in Normal Zon, like it's very much this power. It's the royal purple of it. Where in this specific episode, it's not this power purple. It's a like light, loving purple kind of thing. In that way.
Another aspect of that scene, that episode specifically, is, and another good visual storytelling element is the frame rate.
Yes.
I believe it drops to, like, I forget what the standard is, but it drops to, I think, animating on 3s, or is it 2s?
I think it's 2s. I think the standard is between 12 and 16.
And just for those who don't know, what we're talking about is like how many frames of something there is
per second in animation. I think, yeah, definitely in that scene, I think it drops to 2 frames per second. If not 2, it's 3.
And I don't believe there's another time in the show that does change frame rate. So I think it is that's another sort of thing of, we're separating out this as its own unique experience, like frame of mind. There's a lot of layers to it if you watch the show, but it just pulls you out of everything else essentially, and that's why the episode feels so different.
Yeah, I think the only other time the frame rate drops in any sense, I think, is when Echo and Jinx are fighting on the bridge, because it goes back and forth. They were childhood friends, and they're no longer friends now, in the show. But in that scene of, it's flashing back and forth between present and them playing as kids, and with that, it's this completely different style than the normal show. It kind of looks like scrapbooking kind of thing, I think is the best way to put it, of like going back and forth. They're like playing with friends, essentially like Nerf guns kind of thing instead of like their actual weapons. And it's like going through this slow motion. It's going through them like dodging bullets and stuff like that.
And also just cross-cutting between them actually fighting and then this kind of memory of them like playing. And it's just interesting because we didn't mention it earlier, but the season 2 episode 7, that whole plot line happens between Echo, who is also in that earlier scene that we're talking about now, and a kind of like other universe version of Jinx, to put it simply. And so it is very much playing on that connection, at least between the frame rate dropping, is like connecting these two instances
because they're always connected like that.
Well, they're always connected, but the other connection of, in the first time that the frame rate drops, it's this fight, and it's whatever, and they're reminiscing on like what they like had as kids. And then in season 2, it's the frame rate drops, and it's this very special sort of thing where they're seeing like what could have been in their future, and it's looking both ways. But that's if that is the only time, and I believe it is, then that's another great example of using your frame rate as a tool to show that these things are connected, and it's meant to tell a story even of itself in that.
I think just one other side tangent with the frame rates, not necessarily in Arcane, but into the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse, I should say. So good.
This could be its own episode.
But very quickly, the frame rates in the episode, or the movies, I believe are on...
I think 2s is the default, maybe.
No, I think 8 to 12, somewhere in there is the default. I know it's low. And I know like 12 is pretty standard 24 is standard, 12 is like common, I guess. But I'm pretty sure it's like somewhere between 8 and 12 is the frame rate for those. Here's the thing, in Miles' universe. because the frame rate will go different, like in his own, but also when you go to other universes, the camera's different. The way the camera works is different in all of those.
Sure.
Because with Miles, his is very grounded, but like in Gwen's universe, it's very fluid and moving around like a handheld kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the most kind of pertinent examples of this use of frame rate is Hobie Brown, who is Spider-Punk, is animated on a completely different set. I think it's on 3s.
I'm pretty sure it is.
And I remember hearing that they deliberately made him animated on a different time scale just so that he feels different than anybody else just moving in a space. There's so much to talk about with that character and how he differs from the rest of the cast, but in addition, just his existence just is structurally different than everybody else's.
Yes,
and you can feel it when he's on screen. It's like you get used to it. It doesn't impede the experience, but it is like
it's cool.
It's very cool, but it's also just like
He stands out.
you get to know that he is a bit of like he's kind of off doing his own thing.
Even with that, I think with Into the Spider-Verse, and I'll wrap this up very shortly, like with the frame rates, with the different camera styles, it's really interesting for animation to take on like a multiverse kind of thing. And I know that's the entire point of the trilogy. But also it is a thing of that it's done so well. It's done so well for something like that. Where in like Marvel, because I know they're both Spider-Man, it's part of Marvel and everything, but also it's animation versus live action. You could do that in live action with Marvel and stuff like that, but it's a lot harder because it's just filming.
Well, and I think a great point to bring up there is that the reason that it works so well, the reason that it's not the only reason, but a part of at least the visual storytelling aspect of it is because you can so clearly delineate between the characters and stylistically change them to be so different. Like I said with Hobie Brown, but also with how Gwen Stacy is animated in her own.
Even Miguel too.
Yeah, but like in her own universe, just the very kind of like blotchy paint and everything like that. And there's a whole litany of symbolism that goes into every character. We don't have time to unpack every single one, but it is the thing of like, and you're meant to catch that. It's not subtle. It is very like in your face about it, but to the point where it makes them feel very unique. It makes their environments feel very unique, and how they like exist in a space and between other characters is very distinct, and that can go for literally every single character in the series.
Anyway, very fun topic for this week of visual storytelling. I'm very glad we got to talk about it.
Absolutely, this was so much fun. I love to talk about this sort of thing, especially we're both like very versed in this, so I'm glad that we could bring it to you guys. And keep a lookout. We're going to be obviously posting throughout the semester, and we'll cover a variety of topics. But I think for now, we're going to switch to a different segment. So you'll be seeing that very shortly.
Hey everyone, my name's Carson Steenstra.
And I'm Caleb Pusey.
And this is Rosebud and Thorn. This is something we're going to keep a segment. This is something that we're going to have a rose every week, something that we like. A thorn, something that's not going well for us. And then our bud, which is something that we're looking forward to. So if you want to, what's your favorite of the week?
Favorite of the week? Well, currently Hades 2 comes out next week. Very excited for that.
I'm not really sure what that is, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Oh, it's a video game where you play as Hades' daughter.
Okay, I'm not a big video game guy, so I mean that's big in the gaming world.
It is.
I'm going to say my favorite of the week is Peaky Blinders. I've been watching Peaky Blinders. I've locked in. It was bad the other day. I was watching 5 episodes, mind you. These episodes are an hour long each. 6 p.m. I was like, this is time for me. I gotta sit down and I gotta do it. Started on season 3. This was like 2 days ago. Now I'm on season 5, episode 2. It is so awesome. I recommend it so much. I don't know if you've ever seen it or heard of it.
I have not, no.
If I need to get into it, you can just twist my arm. Okay. It's a great show. It's on Netflix. It's 6 seasons. It's about this mob mafia in Birmingham, and they just have problems with everyone, and it's Cillian Murphy. Fun fact, he smoked over 3,000 cigarettes in that show. Great show. I totally recommend it.
Nice.
What about you? What's your hated for the week? Your thorn?
Oh, my thorn. So, another game-related thing. My fault, but so Borderlands 4 came out recently, and people, especially on PC, have been complaining about the frame rate issue. And the CEO's response, the CEO, Randy Pitchford, basically said, if you don't like it, code your own engine.
I don't even know how to respond to that one, because honestly, that kind of ate. Like, he kind of did his big one with that one. Like, it's like, hey, listen, if you don't like it, take a hike, which I think is kind of cool, but at the same time, I'd be pissed. Like,
Yeah, and mostly it just stemmed from the idea that he assumed people complaining just had less powerful hardware, but reports have been coming in from even like the most high-end PCs imaginable.
right. I get, like, criticism and constructive criticism, but it's like, I see both sides, you know? Like, kind of take it, you know, people have opinions are like noses, we all have them. So, like, just kind of take it and run with it. I know he's making his bang for his buck, so, I mean, teach their own, but how did you feel about that as, like, a fan, I guess?
I mean, personally, if he's creating the game and people are complaining about frame rate issues, instead of being like, oh yeah, no, we'll work on it, we'll try to fix it, he's just kind of being arrogant about it. I don't know, that would leave a very bad taste in my mouth.
Right. I hate when people with money complain about things. It's like, what? Come on.
Especially if they're the issue of the problem. So Randy Pitchford, if you're watching this, fix your game.
Take it up with that guy.
Yeah.
You tell him. I would say my thorn for the week, parking at this campus. Parking.
Don't get me started on that.
I'm getting started right now. I bought this parking pass. Mind you, I commute, so I bought the $30 one as a commuter. I think that's pretty fair.
Yes.
Instead of buying the $250 parking garage. Me buying $250 parking pass, got the wrong one. So I bought the $30 one. Mind you, I was going on vacation the first full week of class. So I'm like walking in all dandy. Yeah, I can't wait to get my parking pass. Mind you, first day I get a ticket because guess what? Didn't have the parking pass. Second day I come back. Guess who doesn't have the parking pass? This guy. So I went in the office. They're like, oh, it's going to take 7 days to get it. 7 days? I don't have 7 days. I need this now. And she's like, well, you could just pay for it. I'm like, oh, I get it. I really get it. But I work a part-time job. I can't be paying for this every single day. Mind you, $30, what does that get me? All the way in M line. There's barely 2 spots. I'm tracking this dude down. I'm like, please, 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 can I please get your spot? Please, I've been spinning around this block like 5,000 times. I can't take it.
Well, there's always S-Lot you can go to, like towards South Campus, but then you would have to take a bus there.
My heart rate gets up. I can't. It's a lot of exercise.
Fair.
My yoga instructor, not my yoga instructor, I take yoga. That's a all the way hike to get to my next class. So I'm like, oh, I'll just drive my car, you know? Very wrong. Not my yoga instructor, from yoga, my film professor, he's like, oh, it's only like a 15-minute walk. A 15-minute walk? Absolutely not. This heat, this sweat, no thank you. Mind you, I GPSed it, half an hour walk. Don't get me started, because there's no parking spots here.
Yeah, and every time I see that new temporary housing, I just drive by and look at it like,
I white knuckle the steering wheel, and it's like, oh, can't do that. That's messed up. Now you have to have parking spots to get over there too. I looked at it, I was like, oh, maybe I can just pull into that little spot.
yeah, no,
there.
it's only people who live there.
Yeah, and I feel bad for the people that do live there. It's
Yeah,
gotta be,
because you only get like this little space.
yeah, and they're trailers. Let's have some decorum at this point in time. I feel like people pay enough for this stuff. Yeah. So, what about your bud? What are you looking forward to for this weekend?
For this weekend, well, I am going to continue playing another video game series. I'm playing through the Yakuza games, currently on the 4th one, and so far I'm enjoying it way more than the 3rd one because the combat is actually good.
So, you're gonna have to say the game one more time, and then give me a little inside scoop.
Ah.
The only games I really know is like Call of Duty and GTA. And
Oh, okay. So with the
should have played that when I
Yakuza
was
series, you play as basically someone from the Japanese criminal organization, and but they're a retired Yakuza.
Okay.
They're not that anymore.
Right.
And basically, you go around. There are a bunch of mini games you can do. Like there's a literal bowling mini game, karaoke mini game, and even play smaller arcade games as well. And then you usually go through like these crime drama stories, but it's sometimes interrupted by these very unserious side stories.
So is that like, are you more of like that's like PC, right? The big, like the computer and everything?
Oh no, I'm PlayStation.
I was gonna say that's like a ongoing dispute, right? Like Xbox or PlayStation, big thing.
Just play whatever you want, really. That's my opinion.
You know what? I respect that one.
Hell yeah.
I'm more of a DS kind of guy. Big
Oh, nice.
DS guy. I'm big Zelda, big Cooking Mama. That. Don't get me started with that.
DS was like my first console ever, and I had Pokemon on it. That just ate up my childhood.
Yeah, mine was like the pictures and everything. I have like pictures from I don't know who I thought I was. I was bringing that thing everywhere. I was taking pictures of everything. I was like out. I was at some like car show and something, taking pictures of everything. I don't know. I was 9, but that's the only thing I had. Big Zelda guy. That one was good on there. Other than that, those are like the only 2 video games that I know. It's like GTA, Call of Duty. I shouldn't have played those when I was like 9 or 10, but that's not what we're talking about today. What I'm excited for, honestly, is just the weekend. I need to get out of here. I can't take this anymore. What do you mean I have schoolwork over the weekend? That's not fair. I have to work. I have things to do. I have time off. Let me do what I need to do. This is about me time. The me time is for Peaky Blinders. It all comes back to Peaky Blinders, dude. I'm gonna finish it because I'm being Thomas Shelby for Halloween and got a month. Gotta lock in on that one. So I think I can do it. I'm really determined to finish it before Halloween. But I also don't need to sit down and watch that much TV.
Yeah. How far are you into it?
Season 5. I had a bad habit of a minute. I was watching it and I got really good into it and I just stopped and I was like, hey, why do we stop? Keep going. So I kept going. So I started again at season 3. I started maybe like beginning of summertime. And now I'm on season 5. So I mean, that's taken up a good couple months of my life. So now I'm going to have to figure out what to watch after that, because once that's done, I don't know who I'm going to be anymore.
Yeah.
Did you hear actually the same producers who did Peaky Blinders are doing another show kind of in a similar, not a similar vein, but sort of, it's I think it's called House of Guinness, and it's about like the family of Guinness, about like the brewery and everything like that, and they're trying to secure like the fortune and stuff.
This is the new show to watch.
I was also going to say, because House of Guinness hasn't come out yet, but if you have Paramount Plus, Mobland, who also has, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name.
Cillian Murphy?
Huh?
Cillian Murphy?
Yes, he's in the show. Also, the actor that played King Viserys in House of the Dragon
I haven't seen that.
in it. It's so good. The theme song alone is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Peaky Blinders I haven't watched yet.
Gotta watch it.
Have to. My parents watched it and were obsessed with it. They also watched Mobland and they were obsessed with it.
I'm just rocking with the mobs recently. Like, I don't know. Mobs, don't come after me. Listen, I didn't say that, but I'm rocking with the mobs. We're cool, right? Yeah, now I gotta watch that. But I've heard Paramount Plus is kind of like where it's at in HBO.
I really like HBO Max. I also really like Paramount Plus, especially because with Paramount Plus you have anything that's like
Drag
on
Race.
Fox a lot too.
Yeah, so that's all I have for this week. Again, I'm Carson.
I'm Caleb.
Thanks for watching the segment.
Before we leave you guys off, we have a little question that we're going to kind of say at the end of each episode that relates to our topic to keep you guys thinking when you leave. So it's kind of a would you rather style. So this week's question is, would you rather view every movie with sound but black and white, or every movie you watch be silent but in full color? Personally, I think silent and full color would be what I choose, just because sound doesn't always mean everything, more visuals. As a person of hard of hearing, I would prefer the visual than the sound.
Yeah, I think I'd go opposite. I think I'd go black and white with sound, because I think sound really, really adds to whatever medium you have there. So
Yeah, and that can be up for debate, especially with what we talked about in this episode.
yeah, that is true. That is true. Composition is still important, so.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, so think on that question and let us know in the comments below.
Thank you guys so much for listening today. Please go check out our comm department's Instagram. It's COMWCU, COMWCU. They'll be posting updates there and more stuff going on within the department.
As well as some behind the scenes from this very podcast.
Mm-hmm. So please go check that out. And again, thank you guys so much for listening today, and we hope you guys tune in next week. Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye.